Perfect.
Greetings and salutations. It is I, Johnny of the Wizard Cast, and today on the My Friends and I show, I have a brand new friend that I made. You know, traveling on, planes, automobiles, and trains, in feet, of course, can lead you, when you're open to connectivity and serendipity, into some really charismatically cool people like Mike. I don't really know much about Mike, except for he is a fashion. He has a clothing company, and he does some palette stuff.
Yep.
And he's from Jersey. Well, no, I won't say he's from Jersey. He lived in Orlando. He's lived around the world. And Mike, why don't you, let's just introduce yourself. Who are you, Mike, and why are you here?
All right. So for Hello World, I go by Doc. That's my designer name, so we'll keep it simple for that sake. Just go by Doc. But originally from California, West Coast baby. Left Coast is the best coast. But bounced around a lot. My father was an engineer, so I was exposed to some amazing global traveling. Grew up in South America, in Colombia and Venezuela. Ended up back in the States due to the contracts that he was working on. And was blessed enough to be able to experience a lot of cool places and travel. And just the best thing that I could say that occurred from my travels was that I was blessed to look at the world for what it really was, not how we perceive it here in America.
What do you mean by that?
I think that there's a stigma here with the capitalistic structure that makes people believe that we're untouchable, right? And if you go outside of these walls of the USA and you go into countries like Venezuela, countries like Colombia that are experiencing the true turmoil and adversity that occurs.
Just to let our listeners know, we are in Newark International Airport. It's around 3:57 in the a.m. Mike and I have already been talking for about 30 minutes, and I said, let me just buzz out the microphone and record things. So there will be interruptions, but we'll pause for commercial break on this kind of stuff,
Yeah. But I think that growing up in South America, my father raised me on the concept and the premise of you treat the janitor the same way you do the king. And I think that is a principle that is lacking in the American society. As you were addressing before, right? You met those girls and they asked for the IG and all that stuff, and then it was like a dead lead.
Well, yeah. So what I was explaining to Mike was, I was down in the village with a new friend Sebastian the other day, and he was heavily trying to pick up girls, and bum cigarettes and stuff like that. And I said, okay, let me teach you some of the tricks from the Johnny playbook. You have something that makes people say, wow, that's freaking cool. So I put my Yoda hat on. It's the Johnny Yoda hat. Wise I was putting that hat on, because instantly tractor beams. These two girls kind of came up, and one girl came running up to me, and she goes, I fucking love it. She started hugging me.
Yeah.
She smelled all good. I was like, yo, what do you smell like? She goes, that's Victoria's Secret spray, Anyway, I got photos to prove this all. I'll edit the photos in here. So we're just hanging out vibing, and I was talking with the girl. I forgot her name, but I know she was Indian. She had a name like Rekika or something interesting. Was an Indian goddess. And then the other girl, her name was Medina. I was like, yo, you know Tone Loc? And she's like, yeah, my parents named it after that, I think. I was like, yo, it's funny. 3 degrees of separation. I met Tone Loc a couple months back, and he was doing a concert in Port St. Lucie, and he fist bumped me and gave me the microphone to sing one of his songs. It was
That's crazy.
The line, I was in the audience, but anyway, I progressed. So me and Medina were talking, and I was telling her I was a musician. I started playing some of my music. She's like, yo, that's so cool, so cool. Oh, how do I follow you? Now, so this is where I think I manifested the problem, though. And that's why I wanted to circle back. And we're having a tree branch conversation here. We'll go back and water all the other branches, because, you got to get this redwood growing. He's from Cali,
Big facts.
So what happens is, while I was giving her my, Instagram stuff, I was thinking about what happened when I was in Orlando last time. I meet people and I give my Instagram, and they would do the same thing where they take my information, but then they wouldn't accept my friend request. I'm like, why even bother? Unless you just want to be a voyeur of me, and it's really nothing. The communication is what it's all about. It's not just about just watching me and you sitting there eating your, foufans or whatever. So, what started as a great spark, from that one girl was like, oh, Lord, and we were just having so much fun. The four of us were sitting there laughing. To like this, to me, it's like a sour taste in my mouth because she's so guarded. And was it my mind that said, oh, she's not going to do this, or is she just being like that? So I need to like meditate on that.
So that's interesting because they talk about the mustard seed of faith, but there's also the mustard seed of doubt, right? So like where you are in thought, you are in reality. So I think that's something that as human beings we have it's like a knee-jerk reaction to do in certain situations when you're either uncomfortable or you don't really understand what the situation is per se, or like how it's going to turn out. So you kind of create a narrative in your head that's and I'm sure that's probably what happened, right?
Well, like, so here's the interesting thing. You talk about like playing things out in your head. So I feel that I'm like a quantum thinker. Like that scene of Doctor Strange in the first Avengers Infinity Wars, where he goes, let me meditate and see the possibilities. Yeah. And I go through the 14 million rabbit holes and stuff like that. I say, well, if I do this, this,
it's like Sherlock Holmes too, right? Like you're pre-seeing the environment and the situation, and like you're watching yourself from like a vantage point, so to speak.
Yes, I pull myself out of self. I say like, okay, what if I was this person? How would I view myself? Like I have to really play nonpartisan to who I am to get the best results of what I'm looking for, because if I just use things in my tunnel vision, then I might just not go where I want to be because I'm seeing limited perspective and I'm just going for the prize.
Yeah.
But then I progress and I say, well, I just need to be me and everything comes to me. And that's the reality that I've learned. Like you're here right now living proof. Yeah. So Mike is wearing this sweatshirt, this hoodie.
Shout out to J Bond.
Shout out to J Bond.
Unsigned artist, shameless plug.
Yep. We'll get some links in there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he's wearing this hoodie that says dreams over nightmares. Now, while I was in Warwick in the 10990, I stopped into the CVS that used to be the Grand Union to get some things, and they had Halloween stuff on sale. Now, me being a funny, conscious creator, I'm always looking for, like deals on stuff because I'm frugal AF.
Yeah.
You know what AF means?
Yeah.
And funny. Yeah, I'm frugal and funny. And so what happens is they had a whole bin of Halloween costumes, and they had one that was Freddy Krueger, which is interesting because I think that dreams are very powerful.
100%.
There's also an Elm Street in Warwick. I didn't have enough time to do it this time, but I'm going to go back, and instead of having Nightmare on Elm Street, I'm going to have like, not a wet dream, but a sweet dream on Elm Street,
Yeah.
Because I think that we can flip the narrative. A lot of people feed their mind these movies, and they wonder why they're so paranoid and why they're so scared all the time.
Yeah.
Well, look what you're feeding yourself.
Well, to piggyback off of that, Bruce Lipton, who's one of probably the most brilliant minds in neuroscience, has referenced that a child by the year 7
Theta zone.
Theta phase, right?
You gotta listen to Raj Global. He talked about this stuff too.
So you and I are aligned on another level. So John already knows this, but for you viewers out there, Lipton references the theta phase as like you learn through hypnosis, right? So everything is monkey see, monkey do. But the thing that he referenced that I thought was very amazing is that by the time you're 7, you've already heard the word no 150,000 times versus yes, I think, and don't quote me on this, if you want to understand it, just look it up. He says around like 15 to 20,000, maybe even 50,000 times. But the whole premise of it is that you hear no more than you hear yes. So you're already conditioned as a child to be negative coming into this world. And we always talk about like, Nikola Tesla and all these other guys and how they wanted all this free stuff for us and to have like that utopian reality. And it's commercial break.
I'm flying on Spirit. You're flying on Spirit too?
Don't fly on Spirit.
No, don't fly on Spirit?
Don't fly on Spirit.
Are you flying on Spirit?
I'm flying on Spirit.
So why are you saying don't fly? You get on that plane.
It's unfortunate.
No. See, this one will help you funk shift up. Oh, that's not trademark, but it's gonna be.
That.
Funk shift up. And so you say real quick, let's funk shift up.
Funk shift up.
Yeah. Let's put some clothes on you. You don't put on your line, man.
100%.
Let's have some fun with that.
Dude.
And it's 100% bamboo. What?
Yeah. Sustainable.
No, but you have to appreciate, this is the gratitude. This plane's gonna take you where you're gonna go. And you say, don't fly on Spirit? No, fly on Spirit.
Fly on Spirit.
Because we wouldn't be here right now if you didn't fly on Spirit.
That's 100% right. So I take that fully back. I recant my statement and I express that this is going to be an amazing flight. And honestly, the synchronicity of it all, the way that we just met, like, it's pay attention and live a in between the lines reality.
That's what I'm talking about. So my movie is predicated on the fact that we're not meant to play follow the leader, which is what we're in this system, your school system. When you're a kid, you're trying to be cool with the kids that are in your age, but they don't know what's going on either.
No.
And even as a parent, when my kid came out of the oven, my wife and I are sitting in the room, 3 o'clock in the morning, nurse comes in and goes, oh, I gotta take your baby, he has jaundice. Oh no, he has jaundice. And we're like so depressed, and I Googled it, I was like, oh, he just needs to go in the oven for a little bit. Get the little heat lamp on him, he's good. But it's like...
Lack of information, it's just like, knowledge is power, right?
And we're in the key of misinformation now.
100%.
My friend Matty Rinaldi, one of my best friends in the whole world, I just spent a lot of time with him and his wife Kara at their place, and he runs a pizzeria, Frank's Pizza in Warwick, home of the Stromboli. And so we're hanging out, and he's doing this ghost kitchen. You ever hear Mr. Beast Burger?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's a ghost kitchen for Mr. Beast Burger.
No shit.
And they said they were never going to open up a physical location.
Yeah.
Well, they opened up a physical location about an hour from his shop, and things started to dive down.
Yeah.
Because the mom and dads go, okay, my kid wants to get Mr. Beast. Am I going to take him to Frank's Pizza, and get it? Or am I going to go to the mall an hour away, do some shopping, and take him to the experience and get the golden tickets and all that stuff?
Oh, man.
So my friend's seen a dip in all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so as we're talking about that whole experience, people... they want the full-on experience of what's going on there. So now we have to reinvent it for him with the Beast Burger. Mm-hmm. But the idea was these ghost kitchens can be very, very successful
100%.
if they're done the right way.
100%.
And so trying to get like him lined up with it, he had to talk to his rep and everything like that. Mm-hmm. But bottom line is, a little effect, of having this other location pop up totally changed his business scope. Mm-hmm. And what I found is that, the misinformation that was being spewed online in the local war group. I added myself to a local war group because I grew up here,
Yeah.
And someone goes, hey, where's the nearest Mr. Beast Burger? And like no one was giving the right information. And so this is where we're the greatest age of misinformation. Everyone has access to the information, but no one was right. One guy, actually, a former officer, Ed Mullins, give a shout out to Ed Mullins. He was very helpful. He said, here's what's really going on,
Yeah.
But what needs to happen is someone needs to tag Frank's Pizza and say, hey, is this what's going on here? Which, eventually Maddie's going to get on there with me and do it because Maddie's, I'm spoon feeding him his technology. I'm actually working with him as a client now.
Nice.
And so, working his stuff up,
Oh, yeah.
He's a very smart guy, master golfer, master pizza maker, social media, we're going to get him there.
Yeah, you got to be able to delegate the responsibilities, and that's something that I learned building the brand, right? Like, you can't wear all the hats.
Well, you can, but it hurts.
That's the whole thing, right? If you're meant to be the creative brains behind it, you can't. Like, I'm very like inspired by R.I.P. to Virgil Abloh, from Off-White. He was the head of the House of Louis Vuitton and passed away recently, like a year now, but he was just a very outside of the box thinker, right? And in the space of him being that outside of the box thinker, he had to put people in position to be able to like do the business side of it. Because if I'm wasting my time worrying about sales and marketing and advertising, and it's all great because I want to understand what's going on with the business, but at the same time I have to be worried about the next 5 or 10 seasons that have to come out.
Yeah.
Right. So like, this is the whole thing that I say, like, you have to be able to have that balance, and I think that's where the tipping scale is happening in society right now, where kids are being so pressured to have success or be somebody by the time they're 20 that it's like, bro, you don't know your head from your ass at 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I look at a lot of kids. My lady has 2 younger girls, and the younger one of the 2 will come in the house and, she'll have homework or something, and she'll get like frustrated, and we'll be like, what's wrong? She's like, oh, I'm so stressed. And I'm like, you're stressed about what? She's like, well, I gotta do homework. And I'm like, you go to school, that's what's expected of you. You gotta do homework. Like, she's like, yeah, but it's just, I got so much going on. I'm like, you sound like a 35-year-old person right now. Like, what's going on with you? Like,
But that's the way we're built as a society, to find whatever's going on in life and gripe about it.
of course.
And so I've been one that I don't find myself griping. Like, when I was younger, I didn't really gripe much, and less more so now.
Yeah.
The stuff I gripe about is stuff that, I guess if I really sat back and thought about it, I have a way to fix, but maybe my griping is just me just not comfortable dealing with it at this time. But the reality is, we control our destiny if
100%.
you really want to.
100%.
And so griping has no purpose, it's wasted energy.
Yeah, 100%.
You could take this water and put out fires of your negativity, or you can hydrate yourself, because water is oil for your body. You need to stay hydrated.
100%. And it's interesting because, like, we'll have the conversations with them, and they get so wound up by, you were talking about, like, social media and all this stuff. There was a really good documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma.
I haven't seen it. Everyone tells me I need to watch it.
Oh, man.
My philosophy a lot of watching things is, if I'm healthy and young right now, I do watch stuff, but there's so much stuff I have to watch, right?
Of course.
And so, like, when I can't move and I'm in the bed and I'm like 80, then I'll watch all that stuff. But that one's been mentioned enough to where I guess I should actually watch it.
It's really, I guess, what that documentary depicted in full was what Black Mirror has been trying to show us. This is another show.
I know. I watched one episode of it. Actually, I watched 2 episodes of it.
The first 2.
Well, I watched the one with the point system.
Yeah.
Okay, and I watched
They
one.
made that an app.
Yeah, I know. That's the real thing now.
So for those of y'all that don't know, over in Asia somewhere, I don't know what country specific though, there's an application where there's a ranking system off of 5 stars. And this is the issue that we're now starting to see in society. Instagram tried to revert that with, like, not showing likes anymore, right? Or the number of likes or whatever it was. But now you have an application that's being broadcasted globally that's causing you to, like, rank someone. So if I meet you, I can give you 5 stars or...
Just an announcement, Mike just got ranked a 4 for saying what he said there. He was a 5, now he's a 4. Please keep your mouth quiet. Do not talk bad about the society.
4 is my favorite number, by the way. But...
You gotta say, I am number 4.
I am number 4.
I haven't seen that movie.
Citizen 4. Snowden.
Oh, okay.
That's a good one, too. You got to check out.
So just so you understand my methodology, I start with self.
Of course.
Then I get my inner circle, my family, and stuff, my friends, my community. I don't know a lot of stuff about a lot of things, I know, like, a lot about heavy metal rock stars back in the 80s and 90s, because that's what I read, Hit Parader and Circus Magazine,
of course.
and all that stuff. So when I met Sebastian Bach, I'm like, yeah, you guys had an album bigger than Led Zeppelin on Atlantic Records. He's like, how'd you even know that, But yeah, so when you say all this stuff, like, I appreciate it because it gives me stuff that I would never have known.
Yeah.
And that's what connectivity is all about.
Of course, you gotta share. You gotta share perspective with each other, and I think that's the beauty of humanity. Is, like, we learn. It's each one teach one.
It's like the Soul Pilot song.
Yeah.
I furnish the weapon with which you destroy me. Now these voices in my head are starting to annoy me. Ripping and pulling and ripping. I ain't ever done acid, but I feel like I'm tripping. Deceptively deceiving. My mind's got me believing that there's no way of achieving a mutual understanding. Oof. I'm not trying to be your perfection. I'm only trying to make a connection. So come get naked, open your mind. Open your mind and let the world inside. So it's the yin yang to what you're saying. That line right there is when you open your mind, people can see what you're thinking.
Of course.
But then also, when you open your mind, then you let the world in. And it's like the yin to the yang thing.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
See,
Soul Pilo's
music,
pretty cool, dude.
Music, man. Music is the only thing that can impact you immediately without you having the conscious thought to do so. Like the vibrations.
So sometimes it could be just the beat.
Yeah.
Like the Limp Bizkit song "Break Stuff."
Yeah.
The second you hear it, you feel good.
Yeah.
I thought about actually a place that was for breaking things because it feels good. Like one of my episodes when I had a public access TV show at a Manhattan neighborhood network was an episode of how I deal with stress. And I went upstate to Warwick, New York, to Specs Auto Yard, salvage yard, and they let me go in there and take a baseball bat and bash up some cars. They said no windows. And we only hit one. we edited that shot in like 3 times because we hit the one window. But it was fun, you know? Because stress is something that comes in all of our lives.
100%.
And if you don't know how to dodge the bullets like Neo can,
then
you're getting hit by them. And the bullets are part of your imagination. What are bullets? That's all Nerf bullets in this world.
That's a great perspective to share on it. I think, you know, we and this was where like we go back to the scale, right? You become, the statistic was that 80% of your stress, 80 to 90% of your stress comes from 14% of your reality, right? So your living expenses, your just the basic level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like we were talking about before.
Like being able to put food on your table, being able to
provide security for your family.
But what happens if you just don't pay attention to that stuff?
Then you become a victim of your own reality.
What do you mean?
So you have a choice to do or not to do, right?
Do or do not? There is no try.
So either way, like Henry Ford had said, if you think you're right or you think you're wrong, either way you're right, right? So like, it's a matter of, right, we both could have decided not to come to the airport and not take this flight.
Yeah, you could have decided not to like turn around so I could see your jacket, you know?
Or,
like,
or took both my hoodie and my jacket off, and then you would have never seen the jacket.
Yeah.
Right, like, so it's just like.
Yeah, because you had a jacket on top of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was standing behind you in the line. I didn't see it while I was standing behind you in line. I would have said it right then and there while we were standing in line for 20 minutes waiting for the guy to get ready.
Yeah. So it's like just little synchronicities like that. And I think people become so consumed by their 14% and their lack thereof in that space that it just becomes a monotonous thing. Like it's like a hamster wheel. Like,
so that's the second song on my album for the movie. It's called Check. Okay, so the first song is the binary birth. It's like the beginning of reality, the earth, the universe, the matrix, whatever. Yeah, it's like whether you believe in God or the Big Bang, it comes from the creator, you know? Yeah. And then modern day society, it cuts to this song that's like all about people that have to do the daily grind, the rat race, you know? Yeah. And so it's gonna be a very gray song. And the way I kind of envision it, you remember the Daft Punk music video, Around the World?
Wow. That's such a classic.
But you know, the guys going up and down the stairs, the big guys.
Yeah.
So those kind of guys, okay, they were the bass line. And I love that video because each one had a character.
It's such a good song.
So those kind of guys, but in modern day society, just dragging their knuckles going to work, and they work at a robot strip club, you know. It's like
Futurama.
Yeah. It's like, I go to work to make some bread. Why can't you just get it through your head? I go to work to make some bread. Why can't you just get it through your head? I work for money. I don't work for free. So, bitch, you better pay if you like what you see. And then the robots open, you know, like, But it's done in the fashion that most people that I've talked with, not I want to say most, but a lot of people I talk to, they want something better, but then they stay in the job that they're in.
Of course.
And they don't try to get out of it. They'd rather sit there and complain about where they're at as try to start taking the spoon and digging your way out of your prison cell, because I've been digging for a while. I'm getting close.
Yeah.
Because we put ourselves in our own prisons.
Of course.
I know that when I'm like firing on all cylinders and eliminating my obstructions of thought process, I can live a very happily ever after life.
Of course.
But it's when I start catering to the needs of others before myself. It's the airline thing. When the mask falls down, put yours on before you put your kids on. Because if dad and mom can't breathe, how are the kids going to survive?
Of course.
And that's what I suffocated myself out of.
So that's great that you just said that, because Abraham, that I just put you onto, references that point that the universe wants us to be selfish in order to be selfless. Like, we have to take ourselves to the mountaintop, experience that, know what it's like, and then be able to come back to the village and help the town people to come back up, if that's what they're on, right? You can't save someone that doesn't want to save
themselves. That's the whole thing. We come through a line of what we're comfortable with. Some people gravitate to that comfort.
Of course.
And they're not going to change because they're comfortable where they are.
Of course.
And that's when, if I show them, well, I'm going to do this, then all of a sudden they might want to say, well, if he's doing it, then maybe I'm going to get uncomfortable and do what he's doing.
Yeah.
Meaning, I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning like Johnny does and be all crazy and doing whatever he does.
Well, that's the thing, right? I think you could even see what, like, I don't know if you kept up with like what's going on with like Kanye and like him airing out everything with like what's going on right now.
Well, there's so many different dimensions of Kanye. So
what I think the overall understanding of it is
I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna let you say what you're saying.
No, go ahead.
Kanye is a very polarizing conversation for many people.
100%.
Let's all proceed listening and understanding that Kanye is still a human being.
100%.
Okay.
Right?
Not that I knew you were going to say anything bad or good, but I just want to, for our viewing audience, listening audience, because some people want to grab pitchforks without having a conversation.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue with our society, is that we're not willing to listen to each other and really listen, not just hear the words that's coming out of a person's mouth. Like, listen to understand what it is. What's the base? What's the foundation of what this individual is trying to get across? Like, okay, maybe he's exposing whatever, maybe he's exposing this, maybe he's expressing this, he's showing that there's corruption in corporations, like whatever. But I think overall, he's just exercising his freedom of speech, right?
100%.
And with the twist, and I'm sure that you could like see the evolution of it from your generation to now, we've gotten softer, man. Like, society as a whole is very like doughboy, like hoo-hoo, like they don't want to get poked. And you know, me being an 80s baby, I started to grow up with technology, whereas like my parents' generation, they saw it from Jump Street, where it's like, all right, my kids now have to grow up with this. And then you came with your kids, and it's like, all right, my kids have to grow up with iPads and this. So it's like, where we were exposed to a lot of information as kids, it was like 10 times that now with this generation of kids. So it's like, if parents aren't monitoring this is why the social dilemma is such a good one, because they break down how they never understood what technology would be moving forward and how these algorithms were really going to affect society, because they had no data to base it off of.
And that's what the basis of my movie is all about. Okay, it's called Future 86. If we fail to plan, we plan to fail. Destruction of the human race through dogmatic living.
Wow.
And it starts the beginning of time, and then people fast forward into work.
Yeah.
How do we get there, right? The third song on the album, which is the soundtrack to the movie, which every city I go to will have different musicians playing in. And that's why you go on Spotify and Apple Music and all the things now and listen to the raw album.
Yeah.
You know, most of the stuff has been recorded and kind of put up there, you know?
Yeah.
Not really mastered or anything like that, but I needed to get it out so I can show it to musicians and say, hey, learn this and give me your interpretation of it. I don't want it to sound the same. Like, I want it to be unique for whatever city I go to. Kind of like, if you've ever listened to the Foo Fighters, they did an album, what was like, they stopped in different cities. And they had a different vibe on it.
What was the name of that?
It was something, 2 words. It was like some,
oh my
I have
gosh.
Swiss cheese brain. You know, I've always, no, ever since COVID, I have Swiss cheese brain, meaning I only hold on to those things that I know I need to have in my head. Stuff like this I can look up, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It was Sonic Textures or something like that, or Sonic... I'm going to Google it now, because now
it's on the tip of my tongue. It's, I remember the video.
Yeah, so I mean, Foo Fighters, I love the band. They do so many cool things. They're very inspirational.
It's kind of crazy. His son's the drummer of the band now.
Yeah, right?
It's such a like 360, like full circle moment.
Well, I think that's the beauty of life, you know, taking over the family business, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think, you know, just going back to what we were saying, like the whole rat race thing, society has put so much pressure on people being successful. And I mean, everyone has a different definition of it, right? Like Gary Vee will reference, like, you know, there's people that are cool making $75,000 a year. There's people that want to make millions of dollars a year, right? And it's like, well, what's your agenda once you get to that space, right?
Well, they want the money, but they don't know what they want to do with it all.
Exactly.
Like, you should actually make your budget first and then work towards that.
And then works towards that. But that's the thing. The indoctrination that we've experienced, the school systems being as old as they are and antiquated, it's such a crazy thing that we've evolved in all other aspects except education.
And
right?
This is a commercial break here. Hey, you got your ticket? We got a ticket. Get your ticket for Future 86 coming to a city near you. You can buy a ticket now for $7.
777.
That was actually my sales number when I was working at the Wiz.
Really?
You remember Nobody Beats the Wiz? It was an electronics store from the 90s into the 2000s. Nobody beats the Wiz.
Oh, yeah.
I worked over there. My sales number was 7777.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
People said I was lucky. No, it's a skill.
It is a skill.
Yeah,
Numbers
but the ticket.
are very relevant. So, the ticket. I got to double back. I'm gonna catch my.
I know we're tree branching here. Let's climb down the tree a little bit.
Yeah. The ticket, we were talking about...
numerology. 7. Well, maybe I threw the 7s in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Pause for station identification. You're inside Johnny on the My Friends and I show. We're here with Doc. Wait, what's your full name there, Mike?
McFarline.
Mike McFarline.
Yeah.
All right.
So, I think what I was going to say...
Education system.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. See, always comes back.
Oh, and there's something that I want to add to that, but yeah, go on to your thought.
So, it's just funny, like, for kids to still go into a classroom and learn behind a desk, right? Everyone is a different style learner, and I think that there should be an aptitude test when kids go into school to understand what's the best way to educate a child.
Are they visual learners?
You
Are they
get what I'm
kinetic
saying?
learners?
Yeah.
Are they audible learners?
So we already have those specific styles of teaching, and we have teachers who want to implement these things, but due to the curriculum and agenda that McCormick or McGrupp or whatever the hell book company has, they're not following that, or they're not allowed to go outside of those lines or parameters, right? So it's like you get a slap on the wrist when you try to do something different, but I'll reference this. America was one of the top powers in the world when it came to education in the early 90s. And I remember because when we were in South America, at the time, our teachers were showing us the educational rankings in between the countries in the world. US was in the top 10, Colombia was in the top 25, and then Japan and all these other Asian countries, India were like all in the top 10. And it flipped to where over the next 10 years into the mid-2000s, America started to drop off. And we were no longer the apex predator, right?
Well, so here's what's interesting about all that, right?
Yeah.
Two things. First off, you can stay on top for so long,
Yeah.
but if you don't evolve and keep yourself fresh,
Everyone else is going to catch up.
everyone's going to catch up and then supersede you. It's kind of like Apple wasn't the first one doing computers.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Jobs went to Xerox, said, "Oh, I can do this better."
Yeah.
Boom, did. And that's where, in my movie, I realized that the special announcement from the Newark airport is coming in again. That sort of thing is my bag, baby. Yeah.
This is awesome.
Keep it secure.
Yeah.
Just bungee cord it to your back.
Just put a lock on it.
Give me subtitles. All right. So, when I had my astrology reading
Yeah.
by Ricky Williams, it was interesting because I used a different email address because I was doing it for my business, but I also didn't want him to know it was me
Yeah.
because I wanted a blind reading. And when he saw me, he's like, "Oh, you know, like it was one of those things where we had that haha moment, you know, Johnny Appleseed, you know."
Yeah.
But then the stuff he told me, like, I'll let you watch the thing. I have a Zoom recording. It's an hour and a half long. But if you're into astrology, it might be like, holy crap. You probably want to get your chart done by him because he's really good at what he does. And he started telling me, you have this element to you, the shaman-like energy, and you are here to talk about relationships and bring comedy and music and, you know, lead people into the future. And when you talk about education, I'm a domainer. One of the things I bought probably about 5 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago at this point, is internetwebschool.com.
Okay.
Because I believe the way we're educating is all wrong now. We have such access to... I'm going to dial it back for you people out there that are old school listening to me. Do you remember when the man used to come to your house and sell an encyclopedia set for $300 and he'd come with the books?
One of those.
Yeah. Right.
We bought it when we lived in New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
So you had
it
the
was like
encyclopedia
96. Yeah.
Right. And you had the encyclopedia set because that's how you found your information.
100%.
Now the youngins don't need that. My youngest son Tyler, I love him with all my heart. He's a brilliant kid. He's sitting there on a Saturday night watching YouTube for jobs you can get to make money without a college degree. It's like, you know, it's a musician, it's an actor, it's a YouTuber. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do all three, you know. But it shows you can make money without having a formal education.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to have a formal education. You need to have discipline in your life and dedication to whatever craft that you want to have.
Consistency.
And so what I think school needs to evolve to is the cheerleading squad to encourage people to explore their dreams because you know what's going on in your DNA.
Yeah.
The blueprints, the stars align with with the planet and people on the Earth. Stephen Forrest, Ricky's partner and one of his partners in Leela, it's the Astro Twins and Stephen Forrest and Ricky. They have the app Leela.
Okay.
And they talk about how the stars align with the Earth. There's a reason why people used to read the Farmer's Almanac for so many years.
I think it's so funny how there's a constant disconnect between our spiritual self and the current matrix that we operate in, right? Another thing Bruce Lipton said was Shia LaBeouf a couple years back had came out wearing the Matrix as a documentary shirt, and Bruce Lipton seconded that, saying that yes, we are living in a simulation. You heard Elon say it, you heard all these people say it, so it's like, at what point do we accept that we are potentially experiencing this simulation and we have the ability? And it's funny that even became a conversation, because when I was in high school, middle school, I always used to think of reality as like Sims.
Yeah.
Right? And like, we're the avatar. And it's like, once you start to understand, like, because think about it, you go to sleep, you wake up, you go eat food, you go to school, you go do this,
do you know what really happens when you go to sleep with your eyes closed?
I do, but for the average person. No, but I'm saying,
do you really know what goes on?
Just from like a spiritual, so it's funny you reference, like, Ricky said that you have shaman-like energy, because I come from a bloodline of shaman. So it's like, the whole thing, like, I've astro projected, I've quantum leaped, so I have an understanding of where it is that we go, but it's like, people will be like, oh, I have these dreams and they seem so vivid. It's because you're experiencing yourself in another reality, right? Neil deGrasse Tyson referenced that we live in a multiverse.
Yeah.
So if all these different universes, because everyone will be like, oh, it's like he referenced it. I saw the Dark Matter Universe. Dark Matter Universe exhibit that they had at the Met.
Oh, I was only in town for a couple weeks.
It was at the Natural History. Yeah, Natural History Museum. So it was just really, really dope, because he talked about it like, people are in constant competition with each other, right, to do things.
But there doesn't need to be a competition.
We're all running the same race at the same time. So he referenced that the past, present, and future are all happening simultaneously. So when we talk about where you go in your dreams, you can go anywhere. You can have a vision of yourself in the future. You can have a vision of yourself, in some random realm, but it's like, NASA's proved this, science has proved this now, they've all made accounts of where we have these multiverses around us. So it's like, at what point do we understand that, like, when you go to sleep, your brain is like taking you to
galaxies far, far away, or close by. So the reason I asked, do you really know what happens when you go to sleep, was two levels. First is, like, if you've ever watched S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. Oh my God!
There's that one.
S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
When what's the guy? I forgot the guy's name. The main guy for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
When he's being operated on.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like, no. What's his name? Colson or something like that. Or something with a C. I thought. I don't know.
Colson. Yeah.
But regardless, so
how
he's being operated on.
Yeah.
He's like, why am I still alive?
Yeah.
So like, part of me, like, wonders, like, is there some of that element really happening in our life? Like, maybe we're just here now and awake, but when we go to bed, sleep, stuff happens behind the scenes, right?
So
never know,
I always think about Matrix.
Yeah.
Right, when they unplug and they go back into the
reference the T3 song.
Where they go back into the underworld and they got to deal with the machines and all that. And it's funny because, like, you go into sleep and a lot of people say they don't ever dream, right? A lot of people say that they dream all the time. And that just makes me think, like, people that don't dream, there's a disconnect in their hardwiring to where it's like, it's shut down. Like, you have that veil.
Comfortably numb.
Yes.
Where they're maybe they're just not focused on the dream aspect. I focus when I find that I'm focused and I plant the seeds in my toes and I radiate it up through the body, and then I get to my head and I keep on focusing on those happy thoughts. I've had lucid dreams about what I wanted to dream about, you know?
Yeah.
And it's because I focus on it.
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time because sometimes it freaks me out a little bit. And I like randomosity. Like this conversation right here, as random as it seems, is it really random?
Not at all.
Because your friend told you, but your friend already told you.
It already happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, and what John's referencing is one of my buddies, shout out to Steve Sam, amazing musician. He actually was sharing some perspective with me, and you know, I was dealing with some relationship stuff at the time, and he just was like, you know, having that talk that your friends do, real friends do, and was basically telling me like, listen man, you're gonna have a really great conversation, you're gonna meet somebody. And I was like, bro, I don't want to talk to anybody right now. Like, I'm not in the mood. I just want to sit. I'm gonna plug my headphones in and I'm gonna zone out. And sure enough, the universe had other plans. So
well, I told Mike, I said, I'm not anybody, I'm somebody.
Yeah, facts.
And
Big
so
facts.
and that's just the reality.
Yeah, and it's funny because you'll never know when these things will come to you and like you need it. You know, like we've been having this conversation and pinging ideas back and forth, and we both learned so much from each other in this short amount of time that it's amazing when you actually just allow yourself to be immersed in the present moment and not worried about the past or the future or how things are going to pan out, or like what I'm going to say or how it's going to be said, like, or how it's going to be taken at that. Because I think that's something that society has preconditioned us to feel, that we're always going to be judged. So you'll have this like anxiety to like go into new situations. And you know, me being a former athlete, it was like Friday Night Lights, you got to show up, right? And I played basketball, I referenced football, but like it was just one of those
They
things.
have lights inside the gymnasium.
Yeah, you know, Friday Night Lights, I guess, is still relevant. We played Friday nights, you know, but it was something where like, you know, I remember those pre-game butterflies and jitters, and there's moments, excuse me, where I had other teammates of mine that I realized like their spirits were broken because they were either not getting enough playing time or the coach wasn't on their side. and it's very relevant to how we're nurtured as people growing up. You know, if you're going into something as simple as a math test, right? And you're in first, second, third grade, and you got to do your times tables, right? And I'm sure everybody had that moment where it was like, damn, you got to do 9 times 9, or like the 8s, right? And you're sitting there racking your brain.
The nines are easy though.
The 9s are always, yeah.
No, but the 9s you can do on fingers.
The 9s are super easy.
Do you know that one?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, 9 times 3, 27. 9 times 5, 45. 9 times 7.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, 63.
Learn something new every day.
My cousin taught me that.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
But I remember sitting at the dinner table with my dad, doing my 3s, 4s, 5s, and like there was, you know, once you catch on, you catch on. I knew 5s, everything's gonna be a 5 or a 0. So it's like, all right, cool. 2s, everything's gonna be an even number. But then it came test time, and you're sitting in that moment, and you got to do the test. And it's like, if you didn't do enough reps, you didn't feel confident to answer the question the way that it should have been. And then you can fast forward that. Now we got SATs, ACTs, right? Standardized testing.
Yeah.
And the pressure behind that, because now the next level after that is your college. That's how you get into college.
Well, and this is where I think society has done ourselves a disservice by putting everything numerical value.
Yes.
Because not everyone tests the same way.
Not at all.
And then all of a sudden you're ranking them based upon they did on that one test as opposed to what they can do
Your
through
ability.
their experience.
Yeah, of course.
And so I am trying to reverse engineer that whole thought process, because the way school is now is, okay, school starts and you do review from what you missed. First you can do an aptitude test, and where are you ranking now? Okay, and then we can do the catch up, and then they teach, and then the testing happens in like March, April, and then for April, May, field trips and TV shows, and it's over. And then there's summer, so there's really like the 2.5 months in summer and the 2 months at the end of school. There's like 4 months of wasted education.
100%.
And sitting in a desk it's like so, like it's so militant.
Yeah.
Where people aren't taught to be free thinkers.
No. You're. I was watching a podcast the other day, and it's basically you're just being conditioned to a hive mind, and they're conditioning you to be a worker, right? You're being a worker bee. You're not necessarily the architect or an individual who's gonna be a visionary, but those of us that have that, it's like Dick Gregory would reference, RIP to him, but he would always talk about once the universe puts the goggles on you, you can't take them off, right? And it's like you may disconnect from it and you may lose that vision, but the moment that you step back in the arena, it's automatically activated. And that's something that my cousin referenced with me. She's like, you were always on. She's like, you just didn't know it.
And we're our own worst enemies. It's our mindset. So the great example is Tua right now.
Yeah.
Last year, Tua had Flores that was trying to get Watson, and I don't know if you follow the Dolphins at all. But he had a coach that didn't believe in him.
Yeah.
And would pull him in the fourth quarter to put, years ago, put Ryan Fitzpatrick in. Didn't let him grow up, you know? This coach, I love watching the clips of them on the sideline. It's like, hey, what are we going to do, coach? It's like, what do you think we should do? You're down there. Tell me what you're thinking, He
allowed him the space to evolve.
He's allowed him to be himself.
Yeah, so and it's funny you reference that because when I was in college, I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. I'll keep that for
Episode 2.
We'll keep it obsolete for now. But our coach, people in the town would always come and watch us play open gyms, and they would see our full potential as athletes. And they would always tell us, man, your coach just needs to let y'all run. You guys are amazing. We beat a bunch of the top-ranked teams in the country and stuff. And we were in a very tough conference for D2 basketball. And it was interesting because come game time, it was our coach had to have the reins. He had to have control. We had to run the plays. We had to do this. My point guard was, shout out DJ Ferguson, was one of the top leading assist point guards in the nation in all divisions.
But he got the clamps put on when you got into game day, and then he would play.
There would be scenarios where, say, we're running a ball screen at the top of the key, right? Simple play. I come up, I set the screen, I roll, dive to the basket, but the slip was there. So he wouldn't even go towards the screen and he would just attack the basket.
Yeah.
And our coach is like, run the play. He's like, the slip's there. They're not. So it's it's just the ego takes over. And from my experience in sports, I constantly dealt with coaches whose ego was bigger than the agenda of lifting your players to the next level.
It's not the ego, though. It's their inability to understand how life works. They think it's checkboxing. Must play, do play, play will work, we win game. Whereas give them love and support and trust them, and you feed them, let them get on the field and do the thing. Good example of that is, my kids play flag football.
Okay.
The one coach had to take a week off. He's like, hey, you want mind helping out here? Now, the team we played against, there was only two teams, and we would play them every week, It was the 49ers. The kids had the wrist arms, with all the plays. They were doing calisthenics before the game. Our team was not the Bad News Bears per se, but the coach was very safe with them. We're a run-first team.
Yeah.
So my first day when I was helping coach out was, I asked the kids, first off, where's our opportunities? And everyone had something to say. The one girl goes, we run that gummy bear play all the time, and they see it coming because everything starts from far away. Can we pull the receivers in closer? Yes, we will. What else were you doing? Blah, blah. And then we had all these different great ideas.
Yeah.
I said, okay, guys, let's run some of these plays, but I also want you guys to call some of the plays that you guys work without, Well, that 49er team hadn't lost in 2 years. Guess who won that day? It was the Dolphins, baby.
That's awesome.
Fast forward. So, I don't like to step on anyone's toes because I was assistant coaching the other guy, Fred, that was coaching, stuff like that. So I was supporting, but I was very passionate. And at one point, the other coach tried to take advantage of our team because we knew didn't have the coach there. So I got on the field, it's bar, 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 bar.
Yeah.
And they're like, simmer down. I was like, well, I'm just protecting my kids.
Yeah,
because we're at the New York International Airport, and we have to make sure that we're following and checking our bags. Because that's all I think is my bag, baby. Yeah.
My bag, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah.
So what ends up happening is the coach comes back the next week and he's like, oh, I'm gonna let you guys do what you're doing. So one of the things I taught the kids to do was get in the minds of the other kids.
Of course.
Call out other plays. Fruity Pebbles on 3 and cheer on the sideline. X, X, X. And we're just getting the enthusiasm of having fun.
Yeah.
And so we won that first week. The second week we didn't win. And then the next week was the championship game. And the coach wanted to step back in again, which, hey, that was his thing, because he stepped back the second week and kind of let me and the other coach run. But it's still, anyway, third week, he went back to, we're a run-first team. And he kept on he told me, oh, you can't tell them how much time you have left, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, they're going to figure things out, I'm like, it's making them nervous. Do you see them winded over there? We were running no-huddle offense. I had the kids trained pretty good. They just wasn't trusting in them.
Yeah.
The kids were running no-huddle offense. Okay, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. I said, run the gas, hit them as hard as you can. They won't be able to breathe. And it was true.
Yeah.
We put up points on them. I have footage of the kid trying to cover him in flag football. And the kids are 13 and 12 and 14.
Yeah.
But it was a strategy that worked.
Of course.
And so it was the coach's inability to understand having blind faith and trusting your players.
Yes.
And so when he kept on saying, oh, watch out, he put the seed of doubt into their mind, and I was putting the seed of positivity in their mind.
Yeah.
And it had different results there.
It's funny because, you'll see that in so many aspects of reality. And, I've learned to, like you said, reverse engineer, our reality to where it's every nanosecond that you have a thought, it's relevant. Right?
Yes.
Just like I was telling you before, okay. I was like, wait a minute, what? Sorry, we had a little side conversation there. But it was interesting because you talk about how words, right? Words are so powerful. And we go back to the whole theta phase with children and how they experience the word no versus yes. So you're automatically conditioned to be in that negative space. So if you put a child in a position where they feel that you don't trust them or there's no faith behind them, they're automatically going to activate that seed of doubt. And it's already so much more massive than the positive one, right? So anything,
you're feeding it.
Think about it. Anything that you do, habit-wise, right? Whether it's a diet, going to the gym, just learning a new skill set, whatever it is, you have to be consistent with it, right? So the time that you spent with them, you allowed them to experience it in a full different way than what they were used to. So it was something new and fresh, and it was invigorating to them to where they felt drawn in by it. And the moment that they go back to the old way, it's all right, we don't want to do this anymore. I don't even care about it. So it starts to cause an anxiety because it's well, this doesn't work.
That's why we lost that last game, because they were comfortable playing the way they were doing. I let the kids kind of run the thing. It's their team. I was just making sure they follow the rules and everything.
Of course.
But the kids know what they're doing. When they played at the end of practice, they were always lighting it up and they're having fun.
Yeah.
And if you watch the Heat from 2013, they're doing the Harlem Shake. They're having fun, And they were just loose, kind of like the Dolphins are playing a little loose right now. And you're playing with house money when you're loose.
And it's funny because once you enter a space that you don't fear that thing that was that Mount Everest, so to speak, you regain control of the driver's seat. And I think so many people are willing to just hand over the steering wheel and be here, you drive, right? Because it's out of sight, out of mind, but at the same token, you're not allowing yourself to fully go into the direction that you want to. It's
experience things.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to go up the mountain if you want to get to the
100%.
peak to enjoy the downhill.
Yeah.
And so the yin yang, symbolism is so strong, but embrace it, because if you can learn how to weather it, you will get to the greater sunshine.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think, one thing that, as parents, I'm not a parent myself, but I think, our parents try to do the best job they can with what they know. Because once your child goes outside of those doors, they're kind of exposed to what reality is beyond your home. So you don't really have control of what it is.
Did yours boarding right now?
I think at 5:15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Just a little shout out there for Spirit Airlines. Thank you for getting us to where we want to go with great spirits.
Yeah.
We flatlined for a little bit over there.
And we're back.
And we're back.
But yeah, going back to what I was saying, I know, parents try to do the best that they can, and oftentimes it ends up sheltering the child to where, I remember getting to college and so many kids hadn't partied or were so sheltered that they became total belligerent drunks.
On the abstract, because so it's
they were so sheltered, right? So it's like, I grew up.
Orlando, Florida, where your flight out of gate 40B. Please remain comfortably seated. We'll share a few reminders with you. As a reminder, you may board with one personal item, one big carry-on bag.
All right.
Please check
Or you can pay for extras if you need to do it through Spirit Airlines on their website for carry-on bag, or pay for the checked baggage, all in the Spirit Airlines. And if you're a free Spirit, then you just do whatever.
If you need further assistance, please see us at gate 41B. Additionally, if you're traveling with a personal car seat, shoulder, walker, or wheelchair, you will need a tap for today's flight. And if you don't have it, please see us at gate 41B.
All right.
So I think that there is, I understand the parents wanting to be protective of their kids and make sure that they're making the right choices and doing things of that nature, but I think you have to have kind of like a loose leash on that and allow your kids to mess up.
Well, it comes down to faith too, right?
100%.
Like, if you start thinking, oh my God, my kid's gonna get their hand cut off if they work in the bandsaw in the workshop class in school. I don't want them doing that anymore. Well then, why get in a car? Because you can get into a car. I said, why get in a plane? Like why do anything other than just sit in a box, right? But you want to live, you want to enjoy life.
I want to read this because I read it to you before, but I think it's very relevant for what you just said with reference to like the faith aspect of things, and it has to do with our words, right? As human beings, I think we're very loose with the way we speak on our reality and the things that we experience. And it goes, since we reference quantum physics so much, according to quantum physics, a particle vibrating from your sound box when you speak can affect the molecule inside a star at the edge of the universe instantly. Basically meaning that your words are powerful, and regardless of what you think that it
Portal gets plans for your flight to Kiev with service to Orlando. Today's flight is a little bit full, so if you want to fly more comfortably today, we do have a few big front seats and extra row seats available to purchase. The big front seats are $44 and the extra rows are $29. If you're interested in upgrading your seat and flying more comfortably, please see us at gate 41B. Thank you.
Upselling.
Tim's already gone.
I'm gonna get that zero so I can get on the plane and I'm not buying it yet.
You want to see where you're at first?
Little life hack.
Yeah.
Wait till you get on the plane.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's always nice when you get on the plane. But I think you just need to be mindful of your words. Speak positively of yourself. Speak life into your reality. Believe that things are going to happen for you and that you're open to all possibilities. And I think once you start vibrating and allowing yourself to believe that narrative more than the negative narrative, because we all got bills due, we all got responsibilities that we got to take care of, and it's so easy to get caught up and engulfed in the rat race, like you said earlier, to where you feel defeated by things, right? And when you experience challenges in life, whether it's relationship lows or work situation challenges, whatever it is, it's so easy to fall into that rut of the woe is me, and that's what 99% of society does.
Yeah. So when I get into those, I'm like, Billy Joel said it best. A lot of artists are manic depressive. They get their highs, they get their lows, and I'm learning how to deal with it because I want to live a life where I do feel the emotion. I don't want to live a flatline life, vanilla watered down life.
Yeah.
but I have to learn how to deal with it. So I use this app called 10% Happier. It's a meditation app. And there's one, I think it's Kyrie Jewell does, it's called the 8 spoke wheels of Buddhism, where you're in the center and, pain and pleasure, sickness and health. It all goes around and you're just kind of stuck in the middle. And don't feel like you're any part of that stuff. You're just observing. And it helps me detach.
Deepak, it's so crazy what you just said. The law of detachment is one of the 7 laws of spirituality from Deepak Chopra. So Deepak Chopra is like a super Buddhist spiritualist. He was on Oprah Sunday Worship, did a whole bunch of stuff, but he's a very, very famous author for conscious mind meditation, transcendental meditation, stuff like that.
Meditation.
So he talks about the law of detachment and not being attached to the outcome of things. Because I think there's so many times, whether it's you going in to take a test or you're going to do something for your job, whatever it is.
But you want one specific thing,
and you're worried about that outcome, right? So you'll only focus on that. But the one thing that he talks about is about focusing on that, you're actually pushing that thing that you want further away.
And you're not enjoying the experience.
You're not allowing yourself to enjoy the experience.
Yeah. Enjoy the ride and everything will be fine.
You have to.
Hey, question for you. You're into astrology. What earth signs do you have in your chart?
So I'm a double Aries and Libra moon. So my sun and my ascending are Aries and my moon is in Libra. And
So you got a lot of earth.
I got a lot of earth.
So-
A lot of fire too.
So I have no earth in my chart.
Really?
Yeah, so that was one thing that stood out. March 11th.
Okay.
I'm Pisces.
Water.
Yeah, so I'm water and fire, baby. So I'm gonna pull up the Leela app right now and show you because
Boiling water. That's
so Leela's cool. So I can go on in here. Oh, are you serious? When these apps update, I gotta do this sometimes. No, I already have the passcode. Why is it not finding my password? Oh, sign in. Oh, I gotta hit the sign in button. Okay. Passwords. Whenever the app updates, that's one thing, it kicks me out, and then it says it doesn't work. I know I have an account. Of course, it's not going to work when I want it to work.
It will work.
Well, I want to show you this stuff, and now I can't show it to you, and it's frustrating because I love this app, and it's a great app, but I put the passwords into place, and I know my password didn't change. Maybe I take myself out of Wi-Fi. Maybe the Wi-Fi kicked out or something. Well, anyway, bottom line is I've got no earth in my chart, and Rick's like, you need to find someone to work with that has earth in the chart. You might be that person because you said you're in fashion. Well, we got to cut this episode now because I think I can speak off the record because you folks out there are going to have to sign some NDRs, non-disclosure, NDAs. And anyway, so he's going to board his plane soon anyway. This has been the My Friends and I show with Johnny, and our special guest here, Doc, Mike McFarline. We'll check out some links. We'll check out some, light and love in the universe. And just, when you meet someone in the airport, say hello at the very least.
Yeah.
You never know where it can take you.
Love and light, people. Love and light. Remember, bet on yourself, and the doors will open.
Boom. There we go. Because the day decides the night. The night decides the day. Try to run, try to hide. Anyway, see you on the other side.